is about to get real right now.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. You guys ever watch E.T.? Ouch, ouch. What it do, nigga? What it do, cuz? So, I just wanted to sum up a little story real quick. Because a lot of people either are just looking at my shit on Facebook, like on the storyline. I see a lot of looks, and there's only so many individuals that I know that are genuine that either like it or push the love button. I mean, right there I can see who's peeping, you know what I mean? So against all odds, I've had quite a few. My story going back a couple months, maybe a month and a half, I want to say. Even further back, let's just say 4 months on general, right? I had some people try to take me out in a psychological way, right? I've had personal, real, active shit, like back home, and then I've had psychological stuff out here, which is like conning and people that drug you, you know, like I've been noticing. And these days, people like to use the internet a lot, or they get information from Google, and they're doing this witchcraft shit and Ouija board stuff and whatever. But as long as you're a believer and you believe in God and stuff like that, to me that's my connection. I started going to church, even when I talked to the pastor, the preacher, or whatever, he told me straight out, like I felt it coming from God, and he's like, look. He shakes my hand and brings me close, and he's like, you're doing the right thing. You know what you're doing. You know what is occurring in your life. You seek change. But then he also gripped my hand, because we're all sinners, right? So nobody's perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. If you're trying to be perfect and, be this way, that way, and social media this and that, or you're trying to gloat it or whatever, you know what I mean? Now you're just kind of like, you're masking it, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of cats out here, I mean, there's some real ones, and then there's some very, very fake ass ones, but I mean, it just really depends on who you know, what you know. I mean, back home, from what I've learned over the years, not even just that home in general, like I've learned a lot of things from Victorville, California, Pasadena, Riverside, Pomona, Chino Hills. I've even been to rich areas. I've been to I've actually been in $1 million house before. You know what I'm saying? I'm 39 years old and I don't even look 39. Think about that though too. You know what I'm saying? My body doesn't give out. Like I'm a real warrior when it comes to shit. I don't quit. Yeah, there's been times where I wanted to quit and I totally gave up or whatever like that, but for some reason my biological structure, my mind and my body just won't give out, right? So that's the man upstairs that designed me this particular way before he put me in the body, And it doesn't hit you until like you're reaching your 40s, from what I'm told through my cousin. He's like, hey bro, don't give up. He's like, a lot of the dudes that were chosen or picked, kind of like you got Moses, you got David, you got Solomon, you have Samson, all those dudes. They were like roughly going towards their 40s before they were chosen. So if you look at the formats between the very, very beginning of the Bible, it talks about 800 years you were living, 900 years, 700 years, depending on what you were doing. You know what I mean? If someone was sticking to it or someone gave out, because you can literally sit there and be like, your whole faith and body and everything, your spirit, and you're like, oh, I give up. You'll go. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of studies on it. I've actually known people to go like that. I've heard stories, and they weren't just gossip stories like out here, like, oh yeah, so-and-so, this fucking shit is dumb out here. But there is a lot of genuine, nice people. People that I meet, they come off very genuine, they come off really cool, and I know I'm on the right path because ever since I've been aiming this way, I go to church, I pray. There's no passing judgment if anybody's gonna be like, oh, like I'm gonna judge this dude, they can say whatever they want, you know what I mean? But that takes a lot of skill, a lot of mentality, a lot of psychological things you have to go through emotionally, you know. I mean, I know a lot of people's situations, you know what I mean, a lot, and I can read a whole lot, but I don't go as deep as I know I can because it's not permitted. It's pretty much like spiritually illegal. But I have went deep on certain factors. Excuse that. That's just an app popping up. But yeah, for me, I was drugged. I'm not gonna say like everybody else, like I was drugged through the mud and blah blah blah. No, I faced a lot of hard times, a lot of situations that could have took my life. You know what I mean? And it's not that I don't care. It's I got too caught up in some stuff, and then whatever, like studying on individuals, like watching this, watching that, seeing how the body moves, and I do a lot of studying. But now, and this time now is more kind of like I'm more awake than I was before, and against all odds, all fucking odds, dude. Like I kept going. Right? And of course, I went to the light. You know what I mean? And I even today, before I even jumped off to do what I had to do and handle my business, I stopped at the church. And the dude that I know there, he's real close with me, and he speaks to me through up and above and down. And he's like, "I'm speaking some real stuff to you right now." And I'm like, "Man, I'm real close," because every time this is a secret. Anytime that you're coming real close to your destiny or your big purpose or your journey or whatever you want to call it, right? You'll start getting these individuals that are very low negative, right? That have no power. There is some people that do have power, but like my cousin said, they have power. The evil people, they have power, or the spirits or whatever. They have power, but they're limited, right? Meaning that they don't know nothing about that positivity, but they do know. Which one thing I learned is that they have to know the truth in order to tell a lie, right? Like it's a different integration of negativity through the human body and the spirit and all that stuff like that. If people even follow on that, if you don't have the intelligence for that, it's not that you're dumb, you're just misinformed on the communication that you're being given, or even just the factor of knowledge. You're being fed the wrong knowledge, you know, and that's okay, you know what I'm saying? Because I was fed a lot of knowledge that was wrong, and it took me years, but I mean, I can sense things. I had a real key thing to sense. Like one time, for a quick example, one time I went to Rite Aid, right, and my mom was like, "Hey, fill out this application." She was standing behind me. I felt pressure. Not that she was doing it, but I felt pressure, right? It had to do with trauma and a bunch of stuff when I was growing up. And I was filling out the application, and the questions it was asking is almost the same, similar, stupid questions they ask you. They're going to pre-ask you some dumbass questions. You're clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking, right? And then when you go to the interview, they ask you the same stupid-ass fucking questions. I'm like, what the fuck? Centuries ago or years ago, even like 1874, right? They're like, "Hey, I want a job." They're like, "Oh yeah?" And if it was a man that worked, he's like, "Let me see your hands." And you put your hands out and they weren't dirty or crusty or hard, he's like, "No, I'm not gonna hire you because you ain't a fucking real man. You ain't a real hired man." That was a real application back then. So things have become more civilized nowadays, where it's like, "Oh, okay, sign this, do that, clock in, clock out." You know, how do you say, like, let me get your email. Now, people that are homeless and are going through it, they might not have that access, and that sucks. Libraries come in the format, you know, but I'm not saying that it's wrong to work. I appreciate the people I'm with. I love the people that I'm with, that I'm working with. They're real cool people. They're humble, and that's where I'd rather be. You know what I mean? We have to do what we gotta do to get by. But what I'm saying is learn to let go of what you think you know, and then honestly be honest with yourself to get through what you need to get through. And then after that, you'll figure it out. You know what I mean? If you get what I'm saying. Anyways, I gotta go. Love you guys. God bless. Peace out. Blood.